Today, we're breaking down Bitcoin mining 2026, how it works, and who still profits. Welcome to Bitcoin Bytes HQ, simple Bitcoin explainers. This is educational content only, not financial advice. Let's go. Bitcoin mining still matters in 2025 and heading into 2026, even though it looks very different than it used to. You'll often hear that mining is dead, too expensive, or controlled by massive companies. But mining is still the foundation of Bitcoin security. Every Bitcoin transaction you trust depends on miners. Without them, there's no reliable history and no final settlement. Most importantly, there's no one funding the security layer. So let's slow things down and explain how mining actually works, step by step. Step 1. What Bitcoin mining really is. Bitcoin mining is a process for securing the network. Miners collect recent transactions and group them into a block. To add that block to Bitcoin's history, they must find a valid cryptographic hash. That hash comes from the block's data. This includes the transactions, a timestamp, and a reference to the previous block. All of that data is run through Bitcoin's hash function. The output looks random. There's no shortcut. The only way to find a valid hash is to keep guessing over and over. That trial and error process is called proof of work. Proof of work makes cheating expensive. It also makes verifying blocks cheap and easy for everyone else. Step 2. ASIC miners. In 2026, Bitcoin is mined almost entirely using ASICs. These are application-specific integrated circuits. ASICs are built for one purpose only, computing Bitcoin hashes as efficiently as possible. They are far more powerful than general-purpose computers. A laptop can technically mine Bitcoin, but it would earn almost nothing. ASICs dominate because mining is a competition, and efficiency matters. These machines don't control Bitcoin. They follow the rules. If they try to cheat, their blocks are rejected. Step 3. Hash rate and network security. When we zoom out, we see hash rate. Hash rate measures how much total computing power is securing Bitcoin. As hash rate rises, attacks become more expensive. That's because an attacker would need to control a large share of that computing power. Bitcoin automatically adjusts mining difficulty roughly every 2 weeks. This keeps new blocks arriving about every 10 minutes, even if miners join or leave. By 2026, hash rate is higher than ever. That means Bitcoin is harder to attack, but mining is also more competitive. At this point, we understand what mining is, how hashes are produced, and why hash rate matters. But one big question remains: how are miners paid, and what happens as rewards shrink over time? With that foundation, let's dive deeper. Step 4. Where miner revenue comes from. Miners earn Bitcoin in 2 ways. The first is the block subsidy. The second is transaction fees. The block subsidy is newly created Bitcoin. It's paid as a reward to the miner who successfully adds a valid block. Every 4 years or so, that subsidy is cut in half. Over the long term, it trends towards zero. Transaction fees are paid by users who want their transactions included. When the network is busy, fees rise. When activity is low, fees fall. Step 5. Funding Bitcoin security. This leads to the idea of a security budget. Bitcoin doesn't have taxes or a company paying for security. The only thing funding the security layer is what miners earn from subsidies and fees. If mining stops being profitable, miners shut off machines. When machines shut off, hash rate falls. If hash rate falls far enough, attacks become cheaper. So when people say Bitcoin has no security budget, what they really mean is this: no one is funding the security layer sufficiently. In 2026, fees matter more than they used to. Mining survival depends on cheap electricity, efficient hardware, and careful operations. Mining hasn't vanished. It has become a professional, low-margin industry. Common myths and mistakes. Let's clear up a few common misunderstandings. First myth: mining is always bad for the environment. In reality, miners tend to seek the cheapest energy available, which often includes surplus or renewable power. Second myth: only governments or giant corporations can mine. Bitcoin mining is open to anyone who follows the rules and pays the costs. A common mistake is assuming mining profits are guaranteed. They aren't. Mining is competitive and risky. What I wish I knew when I started. When I first learned about mining, I thought it was mainly about earning Bitcoin. What surprised me was how clearly it shows Bitcoin's rules in action. Mining makes it obvious that no one gets special treatment. Every block has to meet the same requirements, no matter who finds it. Once I understood that, the system felt much more concrete. Quick recap. Mining secures Bitcoin through proof of work. Hash rate reflects real-world security. Security exists only if incentives fund it. Tiny next action. Observe a public Bitcoin mining pool dashboard, for example, an educational site like learn.braiins.com, and watch how hash rate and transaction fees change over time. That's Bitcoin Mining 2026, how it works and who still profits, simplified. If this helped, like, share, and subscribe for more Bitcoin explainers. Drop your biggest takeaway in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. See you next time.